Hello and welcome to this month's Glow Heartfulness webinar. I'm Purnima, your host for today. I'm a heartfulness trainer and a practitioner. Glow stands for Genuine Loving Outstanding Women and is a series of monthly webinar-based chat show for women to learn meditation from the comfort of our homes and workplaces. We also bring to you speakers from across the world who are eminent and who have made a mark for themselves in their chosen field. So before we actually start the webinar, let me share a few things about the Heartfulness Institute, who are the host of the Glow webinars. Heartfulness Meditation is available in more than 120 countries with thousands of volunteers and certified trainers. Heartfulness Institute teaches heartfulness meditation and other holistic tools to people all over the world through workshops organized in corporates, schools, universities, and other local communities. Here at the Heartfulness Institute, we continuously strive to bring meditation in unique and interesting ways, and these webinars are one such initiative. We learn to meditate on the source of light in the heart which is the seat of love and joy. A special and unique feature of heartfulness meditation is to meditate in the presence of pranahuti or yogic transmission, which is imparted by the guide. Today on the webinar, in today's show, we have Dr. Rosalind from the United Kingdom. She was a course director and senior lecturer for integrative psychotherapy in Regent's University. Her doctoral research at the Royal Holloway University of London focused on meditation and transformational aspects of learning. Her book, The Heart of Listening, Attentional Qualities in Psychotherapy and Counseling, Sage 2001, integrated spiritual, psychotherapeutic, and neuroscientific aspects of the heart. Rosalind has been practicing and sharing heartfulness as a trainer for more than 35 years. A few years ago, Rosalind spent time volunteering and researching in summer camp programs for teenagers. She was sparked by the experience of her own children and the transformational impact that summer camps offer teenagers. So a warm welcome to you, Dr. Rosalind, and thank you for your presence with us today.
Thank you very much for having me, Purnima. Lovely to be here.
So let's begin the webinar, and as I always say, let's begin from what do you exactly mean by transformation?
I'm going to show you a slide because it will save me spending a lot of time using a lot of language. So I'll just show you the slide I have, which says exactly that. Okay. So here we have a definition from a Center of Transformational Learning in Canada. And it's suggesting that transformative learning involves a deep structural shift in the basic premises of thought, feeling, and action. It's a shift of consciousness that dramatically and permanently changes our way of being in the world. So it has many, many ramifications. And the context really for my interest in this is because I've always been interested in how do people change or grow. Most of my work before I got involved in psychotherapy and so on, I was involved in working with health education and adult education and communities. And so I was always interested in how do we change, how do we evolve. And when I saw how my children seemed to come back from their week, looking different, moving differently almost, being more at ease in themselves and having more of a sense of belonging somehow in the world. That's what really touched me, and that's why I decided to get more interested in this and to try and find out more about it, because it feels to me that we are failing our young people in many ways.
Thank you, Rosalind. Do you think it's easy to transform when you're still a child or when you're a youth? or how easy or difficult or simple is that process when you're very young, and how does the transformational process start in our youth?
Okay. I can only really tell you about what I discovered as a possibility in these particular programs. They were designed for young people of sort of 14 upwards. I think that is a wonderful age for transformation. There's a readiness to be open. But I think there are many ingredients that are involved, and some people have done a lot of work in trying to identify these. Talking about the work of somebody called Rachel Kessler, who is not, who has died, but who started a big project in the United States, looking at how young people's access to the spirituality can be enhanced, for example. So I think that there's something about offering a program such as these, the ones that I went to see about, find out about, volunteered in, that are offering a world, a new place, a very safe place, a place of inclusion, a place that has very particular values, and that really makes everybody feel that they have a space, a place, they can be accepted, they're not judged, and offered all kinds of intense, exciting, enjoyable, fun opportunities to explore a little bit more who they are. Those seem to be some of the ingredients. And perhaps if I just give you a little bit of a taste of what is involved in them, then I can then talk a little bit about what the young people told me afterwards about what was important for them. And it's because of what they told me too that I was very, very moved and struck and almost shocked at what they told me. So if we can start with the first step, I'll just show one or two slides and a little video, which just give you a bit of a flavor of what I'm talking about.
Okay.
Here are the 3 different summer camps or summer schools that I encountered. And the first one was run by the Quakers. My husband has been all his life, and they are the longest leaderless, spiritually oriented group, I think, in history. Go back to the 17th century in the United Kingdom. And they have had always the principle of that of God in everyone. They don't have a formal structure of worship. They sit in silence when they want to connect with the divine, and then they may share from that. So they have a principle of pacifism and tolerance. They do a lot of peace work in the world. And they have these summer schools running for years and years. So they offer in those a kind of combination of, they have their meetings for worship every day, which are in this form, may have all sorts of other forms outside at night under the stars. People may share poetry, songs, things that have touched them. But beyond that, they may have very interesting, prominent speakers involved in current issues in the world, things about the environment, things about inspiring ways that people are living in the world. They do a lot of, they have small groups, a lot of games, they have a lot of creative activities, and they have various other kinds of workshops. So that's the mix, a very intense mix. And then I also was able to join, there was a young people's seminar in Denmark actually a few years ago, which was a much more low-key event in a way, but it was offering the same kind of space and opportunity for exploration, guided meditations, chances for young people to be playing games and connecting. So I also went to talk to them and ask what they found was useful. And the result of both of those, I wrote about them, and I was wanting to find something that I really had this kind of inspiration to try and find or create something with other people that would offer the same kind of opportunity more generally in this country. And that was a bit of an ambitious wish. But as it happened, I came across Charlie Murphy from the United States, who'd started a project called Power of Hope, and it's now known as Partners for Youth Empowerment. And Also, one of the former students of mine was very inspired by his work. And so we were involved in setting up these Life Beat summer camps, which have really done extremely well. And now they're also integrated in some schools. So I'm going to give you a bit of a taste of these, the last ones I've talked about, because I can show you a little video made by the Partners for Youth Empowerment, just to give you a flavour. And is very important in that approach is a big emphasis on creativity and dance and movement. It's a very good way of starting anything off, to get all the young people to be moving together in harmony as a starting point. So I'll show you that. Where I went.
World, and you multiply it tenfold. That's the challenge a young person is facing.
Often people feel like they're unheard, unseen, that their ideas don't count.
If youth are not prepared and don't believe in themselves, we're going to have huge problems of democracy, of conflict, of unemployment.
Our big wild mission is that every young person on this planet feels cherished, respected, knows they have a place in this world, and has access to their true creative potential. The creative empowerment model is a combination of experiential learning, group facilitation skills, and the use of art practices from a full range of arts, giving people the opportunity to take risks and express themselves. A lot of people use experiential learning, a lot of people use group facilitation, but we haven't found anyone anywhere who puts the three together, and it's the arts piece that's the magic.
Really deep facilitation skills and the ability to have innovative program design skills and try to get that skill set relevant for youth workers. Because we really believe that that's the place of intervention.
Teachers come out feeling inspired and empowered to be able to work with their classrooms in a really different way.
Not only do they walk back from their classroom with all these skills, they have a felt sense of how to draw that out of a young person. If you can now see this new self in you, you can never not see it in another person.
The creative empowerment model has helped me into knowing how to hold spaces for people to be able to open up and for people to be able to share.
Because it's an approach, it can get integrated into any system. So you might be a math teacher, you might be a sports teacher, but you can integrate the approach into what you're doing.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So do you want to ask me something?
Yeah, so these various programs certainly aid in the transformational process. And that video was very inspiring. Thank you so much for sharing that. And my next question is how to continue this impact in our everyday life, even after the programs are over, how to sustain the impact which the program with its tenure has sparked, how to sustain that spark of interest or impact and in a long-term manner.
Okay, good question. I think I need to step back. I want to I've got share. Am I sharing?
You can share, yes, you can share.
Is that sharing now?
Not yet.
Okay.
Yes, it's shared now.
Okay. I need to step back a bit and say, well, what was the impact on the young people? And one of the most poignant things that comes out of the feedback here and in other camps. And even if you look online at the websites of these different organizations, you'll see the same sort of feedback from young people. And it's something about what happens when they step over the threshold, that they feel immediately safe and welcome. And the shocking thing about that is that it seemed to me much more clear that that was a rare experience. And it's not just that there's a great mixture of young people in some of these programs that I've participated in as a volunteer. So we had people from the inner city living very, very hard lives, with gangs, with violence, with witnessing friends being killed, and also quite more middle class, more privileged children. But they both had the same response, really, was that here was a space where they could be themselves, where they felt accepted, where they felt included, because part of the principles of setting up these communities is to show how community can work and what is important to help community work. And having a very strong principle of inclusion is a precious thing for young people, because they're used to so many situations where they are excluded or judged, or don't belong. And that's not only with their peers, it can be in their experience of school. Sadly, it can be experienced to families, because we all, as parents, I'm a grandparent, have the problem of wanting to impose our own wishes on our children. And we may very much be flattening down and blocking something special inside them that needs to be known and heard. So one thing that seems to be important about these programs is they find a place where they can be themselves, and they can be at home. They can come back feeling more at home in themselves. So that comment on the top started with, it was a safe haven. Nothing I'd done was as nice. I was sad to leave. And these are just other comments that I got. A little oasis. Once you've experienced being free and not being judged and just having a good time, then you can try and bring that back to life. And feeling that they can't. They're usually in a very competitive, a very hard environment. There's some examples of the things they said they faced. Back at home, if you do it, it's hard because you have to keep it to yourself. People around me where I live, they're like bullies. London being a noisy and grumpy place. But their experience of being in these programs was that they were relieved of peer pressure. They didn't have to be cool. They didn't have to impress. They could be feeling how they felt, and people knew who they were, understood them. They don't have to impress. So it's like a huge sigh of relief and a huge opportunity to come back more inside and connect and share. And another part of what people get is learning how to actually put into words things that are going on inside them. These are the things that they said they'd bring back into the world. I will speak up at school. I will pass on. I will listen, understand. I will respect others more. I will communicate more, say what I feel. I allow myself to participate. And you can see the kinds of things. This is somebody who talks about coming, she's been to it several years, and she comes back each time and tries to keep some of the part of herself that she felt lived, she liked better about herself into her life, and to make different choices and to be with different people. And this is another comment which I think is a very pertinent one. Before I used to say, what's your name, and stop down dead, but now I've learned how to talk to people. I know how to speak to people. That's all I've learned here. That's what I'll do. I just thought to myself, there's no point being shy. I'll just talk to people. So I'm showing those because I think when we look at the issue of loneliness, this is a big, big issue for young people. And a recent study in the UK found, quite surprisingly, that young people were the most lonely group of people compared with other age groups. Most people would think that that might be true of older people, but the 17 to 24s are the loneliest group, and what they find is that I could show you a slide, but I'll try and remember what it was. But they don't feel that they can, that nobody really understands them. They don't feel they belong, and they don't have friends. And I think one aspect of loneliness is people not even being connected with something inside themselves. They have not been able to be at home with themselves, a way to put into words and to share with other people what's going on. There's a lot of uncomfortable, painful, bleak, empty spaces. And, if you're working as a therapist, your task is to try and help feel into those spaces and feel for little sparks of aliveness and connection, and try and find a language between you and that person to connect you there. And so that's where I see what we can take from these programs as being something we can bring into life. And what I'm suggesting is two things. One is I'm calling attunement, and it's a term that people are bringing out a lot in terms of its power in helping people to make shifts that go back early on in their lives, therapeutic shifts by very skillful attunement with practitioners who've really developed it. But I think we all have that capacity. So what do I mean by attunement? I mean a bit like tuning into the song of the person. Sounds a bit whimsical, but if we think about what it's like to meet a baby, we quite naturally have a capacity to look at the baby, see how the baby's moving, doing its own kind of flow of movement, like a little dance or music. And we learn to kind of connect with that and play and go with it and expand it and make a dialogue. That's attunement. And it's something about when we can do that with each other, we feel really connected with, really met. It doesn't even have to be language. And it's a quality of the heart to be able to just be present, to slow down, to soften, not harden in anxiety, but soften, and just be open to the being of the other person and keep it company and feel it. And that's one thing I think we can all do much more for each other. And it links with the second thing which I take from these programs and what people found, which is there's no neat word for it, but it's something about creating that sense of welcome, of safety, of acceptance, of openness, being able to be completely curious, open, empty, ready to meet the person, the uniqueness of the person, and find out more about them. Both of those are not only relevant for how we are with others, but also for ourselves, because this links with compassionate, practicing compassion, about being able to attune to ourselves and witness and be open and present and curious. And curiosity is a great resource because it stops us bringing on our existing knowledge and maps and judgments. It stimulates a kind of energy. Our neurons in our brain are fired by the sense of we don't know, we'd like to find out. And if we meet each other in that way, we will really have much more of the chance of meeting that of the divine in them, because we each have that unique little spark in us that yearns to be expressed in the world and used. And when we flatten, unfortunately, in our current world, we really don't welcome young people into the story and to give them a vision and inspiration largely that will help them know that they've got a part to play and they've got something to contribute, as they said in the film.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much, Rosalind. So how to maintain this heartful attention to oneself?
Well, So how can we do that? Good question. Well, one of the things I notice in myself that stops me doing that is often because I feel anxious, or I already have my existing judgment. And I think a lot of these things are about pausing, of simply taking a deep breath, pausing, letting go of things, being in the moment, being present. And at the same time, I think with the quality of heart, which is when you're practicing a system like heartfulness, we are enabled far more to connect with our heart. But it's about a sort of softening. It's about a softening of connection between ourselves and the world, and a letting go of our own concerns. We can, if I put it into 3 steps, it would be something like sort of stop, take a deep breath, let go of everything that's bothering you at the moment. Be ready to be really open and present to the other person, and be glad about that opportunity, and feel your heart connecting with ours, and be open to see what happens next. And it's something like that quality of readiness to really welcome somebody into one's acquaintance and meeting, that the person feels. It's a very different way of meeting. We already come with our judgment. The person already feels it in a split second. Whereas if they feel that kind of opening, it's a very different quality.
Thank you, Rosalind. My next question is, as adults, as caregivers, as teachers, as parents, as university professors, or just people in the society, how can we ensure that we facilitate this subtle transformation to continue, not just for the current youth, for the coming generation, for the next generation? How can this process keep on continuing and continuing?
Good question. Well, I sometimes think that we are at the moment in a state in history where we're not really valuing this or humanity at all, and probably not even in ourselves. So if we had a different principle of valuing the divine creation of a human being, really feeling it in ourselves and others, then that's something we would bring into every decision, every action we did. It's a different value from the kinds of values that we hold mostly, which is about getting things done and achievement and success. We don't provide enough time to be really meeting human beings and enjoying each other and seeing what everyone can be contributing. So it's a bit of a vague answer, perhaps, but it does take a shift of values, because at the moment we value time, efficiency, output, machine-like qualities, and we don't see, I can't remember, there's a poet who said something like, we travel the world and to admire mountains and views and rivers, and we never see the beauty of the human being in front of us.
Thank you, Rosalind. So this heartful approach towards transformation in youth, how can this impact future?
Well, I think we need to think about the world that we're creating, and there's a new exhibition just about to be put in London, which is a project where somebody has asked nearly all the primary schools in London to take a picture of children between 7 and 8. So there's something like 76,000 beautiful beaming faces with their teachers being shown. And it's like, that's the world that's coming into being. That's the world that needs to be welcomed in. And we need to sort of think about everything we do from the point of view of the impact on the children, like First Peoples have done. They've considered, what impact will this have on the children and on the earth? And that's the sort of shift, I think, that comes from the connection, the valuing the of the beauty and the vulnerability in human beings, and the tremendous. There must be something special about the fact that we're all different, and everybody has got some purpose in being on this planet and has something to offer, and we need to find ways to make sure that we're harnessing that resource. And at the moment we don't we really deny this potential that is within everyone. So it takes a very different way of saying we want to bring out what is inside everyone to help, as a resource. Completely different way of seeing things. That's how I see the future.
Thank you so much, Rosalind. This conversation has been very heartful, and it's been a very beautiful conversation. And before we go on to the experiential relaxation and meditation session, what are your closing thoughts? What do you want to leave us all with?
Well, one of my concerns, we're very, obviously we have the wonderful Greta Thunberg reminding everyone about the dire state we are in. And sometimes I think we treat the world as rubbish because we ourselves feel like a bit of rubbish in some ways. And all the times that we exclude each other and deny each other, we're just perpetuating something that, if we want to change things, we have to change our attitude towards our humanity, and I think, and value it in everything we do.
Thank you, Rosalind.
Thank you. So now, for those of you who would like to try both the relaxation and the meditation, I'm going to invite you step by step to try a relaxation exercise. And at the end of that, I'll be leading you into connecting with the source of light in your heart. And we'll have about to meditate and for you to have the chance to feel what heartfulness might be. So if you'd just like to gently close your eyes and just be in contact with your body on the ground, on the chair, your feet on the ground, and bring your awareness to your feet and your toes. Try wriggling them a little. And have the thought that there is a beautiful energy coming up from Mother Earth into your feet, into your toes, and it's relaxing any tightness or tension there, melting it all away. And now you can feel that energy moving up further through your lower legs, your knees, your upper legs. And as it travels, it's melting and releasing any tightness or tension. And you're feeling that energy coming up into your hips and the whole of your back, where you might have a lot of tension, and you're letting it all release, soften, melt. And now feel that healing energy coming from your back forwards into the whole of the front of your body, to your stomach and your chest. And it's letting go and melting any tightness or tension there. And you're just feeling the whole of you relaxing. And now you can feel that energy in your shoulders, moving down through your upper arms, through your elbows, through your lower arms, and your hands and fingers, and all the tension and tightness is just dropping out through your fingertips. And now feel that energy in your neck, traveling up into the whole of your head, melting and relaxing any tightness or tension in your forehead, in your eyes, your ears, your cheeks, your nose, your mouth, and your chin, and your jaw. And just take a moment to just feel the whole of you relaxed. And now I'm going to invite you to bring your awareness down into the place where you feel your physical heart to be beating, with the thought that there is the divine light, there's a divine presence, there's a source of light there, a source of love that is drawing your attention towards it. And you're just letting your attention rest there for a few minutes. And I'm going to invite you now to begin meditating. And I'll let you know when it finishes in about 10 minutes. So let's start meditating. That's all.
Thank you for joining us today, Dr. Rosalind Pierman. Thank you for the beautiful heartfulness session.
Thank you for inviting me.
So, for the benefit of the participants of the webinar, I request you to continue your heartfulness practice by logging into heartfulness.org website. You can avail the services of a heartfulness trainer. You can write to us at glow@heartfulness.org, or you can check out heartspot@heartfulness.org and locate the trainer who is nearest to your location. You're also most welcome to check out the masterclasses by Daji, who is the global guide of heartfulness. These masterclasses are of 3 days, and after 3 days, they are 1 hour session each, and they are completely free and available on the website heartfulness.org. You're also welcome to go through the Udemy classes, again by Daji, who is the global guide of Heartfulness Institute, and those are an amazing resource of tools and techniques which you can use to further help in the transformational process. Heartfulness Institute also offers programs for youth, and you can also avail these programs and participate in them. You can write to us at info@heartfulness.org. Share all these resources with you. So that is all for us. That is all for today from us for these webinars. And if you have any feedback or any future suggestion for future topics and speakers, please write to us at glow@heartfulness.org. Once again, I thank all the participants for joining us today. I also thank Dr. Rosalind Pierman, and thank you so much for joining us today. I thank
you.
Amazing webinar.
Thank you.